Hi everybody, it's Brad with the Big Family Homestead, and today we are talking about, well, kind of a touchy subject, and that is what to do about beggars, people that ask you for a handout. And so let's get into it right now. So the other day I was asked a question online about vagrants, beggars, whatever you want to call them, panhandlers, people, homeless people, people that you meet and see out in your day-to-day world that are looking for a handout. And they were asking my opinion on what I do specifically in the case of being asked for a handout, hand up, whatever you want to call it. So before I get into my own personal opinion explanation, whatever it is that I do, please understand that I am a spiritual person. I do believe that Jesus Christ is absolutely 100% Lord. And so if that freaks you out, this talk is going to be dabbling in those things, but being the kind of guy that I am, I don't want to cram anything down anybody's throat. So I'm giving you the option to click away right now before we get into a spiritual kind of thing. So see you later or stick around. All right, here we go. You've been warned. All right, when people come up to you and ask you for a handout, what do, Brad? Well, here's the scoop. Every situation for me is different because, sometimes I'll go out of my way to make sure that, somebody gets something if you just feel that check in your spirit that they need help. Who's not ever been in the position of needing help? Now, you may say, well, those people are out there, on the street corner doing whatever, and they're there because of drugs or alcohol or whatever, and you're just making the problem worse. Well, to that, I have to say, every situation is absolutely different. Who knows why they're out there? Some people might say, well, I saw that guy getting in his car and driving home, and yeah, you hear the news stories all the time about some, vagrants who are making more money than I do and working, my full-time job. Well, in that case, it's kind of up to you. I personally have to look at it through the biblical lens. Now, if somebody comes and asks me, and I genuinely have something in my pocket, one thing I will not do is I will not lie to them and say I don't have anything. Now, don't freak out, people. Here's the thing. Here's another side of this story. It's a complicated issue that only you can decide for yourself. But here's another side of the story. Now, let's say that there's a vagrant or somebody out asking, hey, can you spare a buck? Okay? And you might say to yourself, well, they're just going to spend that on blah, blah, blah. Well, here's another side to that thought process. What if I give him that dollar and he goes and does something with it? Well, first of all, I'm not liable for that. They made that choice on their own, and that is 100% on them. But the flip side to it is, if I don't give them that dollar or whatever they're asking, am I actually robbing them of an opportunity to do something good with it? Instead of me just making the automatic assumption that they're going to do something bad with it? It's a sticky, sticky path. I'll tell you what. Now, here's a little story, and this is not, I promise you, this is not to lift me up in any way. It's just a story that illustrates part of my point. And for those of you who know scripture, yes, I'm supposed to do all my charitable stuff in quiet where God is the only one who sees me. And so, but this has been years and years and years ago, and I didn't want any blessing. I wasn't giving to get something back. I was just doing this. Well, anyway, it was a particularly good time of our life. We were making pretty good money, and I was driving home in a very, very bad area of town, and I saw this guy riding a bike, and his very, very pregnant wife was sitting in the basket on the front handlebars of the bike. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. It was the craziest thing. It was, I want you to give that man your car. Scout's honor, totally did happen. So I pulled the car over, and I kind of waved this guy down, and I try to explain to him, I'm like, look, I'm not a crackhead. I'm not trying to rob you. I'm not trying to do anything at all. I know this is going to be straight out of the blue. This is weird, and I get it, but I said, if you could have a car, would you want a car? And the guy was trying to figure out if I was, you know, trying to pick him up or something. I don't know what he was thinking, but he was trying to figure me out. And I said, no, honestly, I just saw you guys driving there, and I happen to have another vehicle that I do not need, and it's an extra vehicle, and I will be happy to give it to you. No strings attached. And he just was blown away. And the kind of a funny part to all this, though, is that where we lived at the time was a good half hour away from where that was. So I explained all this to him up front, and I just said, now it's going to be a drive, and don't think I'm trying to take you out into the woods to do anything bad, because we lived in a very rural area at the time. I said, that's not what's going on, it's just this is where we live. And I ended up giving this guy a car, straight up, gave him a car. I actually gave him some bikes for his, I guess he had some kids, so we had some bikes laying around, and kind of went over and above with what I thought we needed to do, and I just felt like instantly, this is what God's asking me to do, so I did it. Well, it turns out that I ended up a couple months later seeing that my car that I had given this guy was at a used car lot, and I just went in to ask the guys, hey, where'd you get this car? I'm just curious. And he was like, yeah, some crackhead came in and sold it to us for $500. And I just laughed. The point is this: when you do a good deed for somebody, it's done. You've done it. You've done your part of the deal. What they choose to do with it is their business. You know, I can't say it any other way that my blessing was in no way diminished. In no way diminished. God had absolutely asked me to do it. I did it, no regrets. Even though it seems like maybe he had fallen on hard times, who knows what's going on in their lives? And this is a really long answer to what should seem to be a very short question. You know, do you help out vagrants? There is no cut and dry answer, guys. You know, if you feel like God is telling you to do something, you gotta do it. You cannot turn your back on these people. But then you say, well, what about, you know, because I work at a church, and there are actually, honestly, this is a true thing, that there are groupings of people that will go around from church to church to church, and they'll say, I need gas money to get to blah, 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 you know, and they'll make up some humdinger of a story, and they actually kind of follow each other around. They've got a racket where they know what churches will give them something, they know what they'll get, they know how much they're going to get. Now, that is also dealt with on a case-by-case basis. My policy, my personal policy, is if you can help somebody out, help them out. Absolutely help them out. I think it reflects the Creator and the grace that has been extended to me. But if I don't feel like God is telling me to do that, I'll tell them why I don't want to do that. Yeah, crazy thing. One guy, just recently, when my mom passed away recently, and we were driving back from Florida, the guy comes up, and I could see that his car was right over in the parking lot, because he didn't see me, but I saw him coming out of his car into the gas station parking lot, and he was walking around asking people for, you know, $5 to get gas for his tank. And I feel really bad about it, honestly, but I saw him, and I was just not in the mood to play games. And I saw him, and I didn't even give him the common courtesy, and this was rude. I didn't even give him the common courtesy to ask. I just said, I saw what you're doing, don't ask me, just go away. And he just turned and went, okay, on to the next sucker, I guess. Point in all this, you got to take it on a case-by-case basis. Be open to what the Spirit of God is asking you to do, because you never know what amazing thing can come of just a small act of kindness. And I've seen people's lives absolutely change with something that would seem insignificant to us, a $5 gift, or a smile at the right time, or a hug. You know, people, not everybody that's out begging is well, a loser or anything weird like that. There's many different reasons why somebody might find themselves out on the street. And so I would just, my recommendation, you know, if you even want to hear it at all, is just be open to the Spirit of God, and He'll tell you what you should do, because I don't think there's one answer that covers them all. You can't just go, well, I'm not giving it to anybody. Well, that doesn't have a whole lot of grace in it now, is there? I mean, and maybe that's not your thing, and if that's not your thing, hey, whatever. I was just asked my opinion, and so there you have it. There's my opinion. Brad with Big Family Homestead. You guys have an amazing day.